Mic check, mic check. Here we go. I was just kind of doing some Google searches. Kind of like to just kind of see what is going on in the Mississippi market, right? So here we go. So I found an article right here that says Mississippi's medical marijuana mess. A lawsuit pending in the high court, more litigation possible. The agency tasked with running it doesn't want to. An alternative. All right, let me reread this. A lawsuit pending in the high court, more litigation possible. The agency tasked with running it doesn't want to. An alternative program proposed late in the game. Mississippi's fledgling medical marijuana program, overwhelmingly enshrined in the state constitution by voters in November, is an uncertain mess at the moment, even as the clock ticks for it to start. After years of inaction by the legislature, despite growing grassroots bipartisan support, nearly 74% of voters in November approved Initiative 65. It is a constitutional amendment mandating and specifying a state medical marijuana program. The measure, which opponents still claim was drafted to favor the marijuana industry and is just short of legalized recreational use, puts the Mississippi State Department of Health in charge of the program, with no oversight by elected officials. It also prevents standard taxation of the marijuana, and any fees collected by the health department can only be used to run and expand the marijuana program, not go into state taxpayer coffers. The measure allows little regulation by local governments, no limits on the number of dispensaries, and otherwise leaves many specifics unspecified. Lawmakers in the 11th hour before last year's vote unsuccessfully tried to have voters adopt an alternative measure that would have allowed more state government oversight and taxation. Voters rejected this. Let's see. But the adopted constitutional amendment now faces litigation. Set to be heard in April by the Mississippi Supreme Court, Madison Mayor Mary Hawkins Butler brought the challenge, arguing the state's initiative process is flawed and the measure was improperly before voters. The health department, struggling for years with underfunding, understaffing, and now a pandemic, and Mississippi and American medical associations have joined in, urging the court to overturn the initiative. The State Board of Health had opposed the medical marijuana initiative, while the board and department claimed to be earnestly working to stand up a program as required by the Constitution. At least for now, they would appear to be very reluctant partners. The voter-approved initiative requires the health department to begin issuing dispensary license and patient ID cards by August 15th. But some state leaders have said the deadlines will be hard to meet, and it could be much later for Mississippi patients. It could be much later before Mississippi patients could receive medical marijuana. Meanwhile, lawmakers are trying another Hail Mary. Senate Bill 2765 would create an alternative or parallel medical marijuana program to the one voters put in the Constitution. Its author, Senate Medicaid Chairman Kevin Blackwell, Republican of South Haven, said it's a bill he started working on in 2018 in hopes the legislature would have adopted a program before voters took matters directly in hand. Blackwell said the bill is needed largely because the state Supreme Court could overturn Initiative 65. Then the state would still have a medical marijuana program, as voters clearly want. But if the court upholds the constitutional amendment, Blackwell said, they would coexist. The state would have two medical marijuana programs. Support of Blackwell's proposal hope that should that happen, the medical marijuana industry would view the state law program as more stable and less likely to face further legal challenges favored by legislatures and the bureaucracy and local governments. The new proposal, which faces a Thursday deadline for a first floor vote in the Senate, would tax medical marijuana. It would be subject to an excise of 4% at cultivation and a retail sales tax of 10% when patients purchase it. So a total of 14% tax for medical marijuana is ridiculous. Like, that is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I understand like what he's supposedly trying to do, right? But I mean, no. You gotta, I mean, you can't, if you're gonna do 4% on the cultivation, then you need to at least just have a 3% sales tax, so it's a total of 7 totally. Because I mean, that's, do 10% on recreational, right? Like some of the other states do. But for medical, no, you shouldn't be taxing the shit out of patients. I mean, you can't even claim it on your insurance right now, and then just to tax them to hell and back. No. Under under Initiative 65, the health department could only charge an assessment up to the state's 7% sales tax rate on final sale of marijuana. Fees up to $50 for identification cards and reasonable fees for dispensary. Okay, so all right. So under Initiative 65, there would possibly be a sales tax. See, 7%, you're right. If you're going to do 4% cultivation, do 3% state. So it's just 7. Under the new proposal, money collected by the state, which Blackwell said is estimated at $32 million for the first year, then hundreds of $millions a year subsequently, would go to education. The first 25% would go to the state's Early Learning Collaboratives program. Why can't we use the marijuana programs for things instead of raising the taxes and messing things up? That's all I'm saying. But anyway, the next 25 would go to the Mississippi Department of Education's dual enrollment program, and the remainder to college and university scholarships of up to $6,000 each. The measure would have the Department of Agriculture handling most regulations, Blackwell said, and would be closely monitored from seed to sale. It would allow local governments more regulatory and zoning control over dispensaries. The measure also would have a hefty licensing fee, $100,000 for growers, $20,000 for dispensaries. Dispensaries would have to show proof of assets or provide a surety bond of $250,000, and growers would have to do likewise for amounts set by the Department of Agriculture. So this is where you run into the problem where it's trust fund babies and stuff getting dispensaries, and locally owned and operated is very, very hard for your average person. Like, I'd strongly oppose that. I mean, a grower, licensing, it shouldn't be any more than any other regular crop that is grown. And I know a lot of people were like, I don't even want the license for that. Well, I know. But, if to get it legal and start getting it grown and everything, if that's what, it's what we have to do, they gotta make it accessible for your average person to be able to go in there and grow. You could have so much. This is what I don't understand. Like, you could have so much wealth within your own state. if you just make these things accessible for everyday Mississippians or Nevadians, Californians, whoever has these programs, right? I mean, to make it to where those businesses, these big wigs come in and get all these businesses, and then they hide all their money to avoid taxes for this, the reason, or that. Your local grower, I mean, yeah, they're going to try to, mitigate taxes, of course, but not on the scale that these companies will, or these bigger people that just do that for a living, make money, hide it from the tax man, all that kind of stuff. All right. So Blackwell said the law requires. Wait. Okay. Senator Chris McDaniel, Republican of Ellisville, said he's concerned the new proposal includes too many anti-competitive measures that would prohibit Mississippi small business owners from participating. Good. Blackwell said the law requires 60% Mississippi ownership of companies, but McDaniel said large marijuana corporations could easily find ways around that provision. McDaniel said he also questions the 10% sales tax on medical marijuana when the state doesn't tax prescription drugs. Boom. So, no tax, really. Good. I'm glad. I mean, some of these Republicans coming around, you got to question any of these politicians' motives, but at least we're trying to get somewhere. I mean, that's a good point that he's pointing out, which I just spoke on. So McDonald said he also Senator David Blount, Democrat of Jackson, questioned how any businesses or patients, should both programs be approved, would opt for the higher tax, more regulated state law program. Blackwell, in pitching his bill in committee, told colleagues he has problems with Initiative 65 and believes it's unconstitutional, protecting a particular product or industry in violation of the Equal Protection Clause. That horse has left the barn, Senator Blackwell said. Blount said, I wish we had done this last year. Blackwell responded, 2018 would have been a good year to have done it. So, man, so is the health department, are they not, doing what they're supposed to be doing to get ready for this? Because according to this article, it seems like they said that they were not, helpful, or what is it? Let me find it. What they said. Yeah. Let me reread this. The health department, struggling for years with underfunding, understaffing, and now a pandemic, and Mississippi and American medical associations have joined in, urging the court to overturn the initiative. The State Board of Health had opposed the medical marijuana initiative, and while the board and department claimed to be earnestly working to stand up a program as required by the Constitution, at least for now, they would appear to be very reluctant partners. So I thought there was allies in that. Man, so I'm gonna pray for you, Mississippi. That you guys get around these legal challenges, and people get access to the medicine. I mean, once they get it in there, they'll really realize, especially some of these people that don't know much about it, and once the state becomes legalized, you get education on it, and you really start to understand, it's not just about getting high. I mean, you use that, the Solve, the creams and stuff that you can put on your skin to go directly into your bloodstream. You get the CBD and the THC mixture, and you're not gonna get high like you're smoking. You know what I mean? It goes directly into the bloodstream and starts affecting the area that you're trying to fix. So so many different ways, and just a lot of these people just don't really understand it. Like I mean, you could manage your health plan with cannabis and not ever smoke it if you don't ever want to. I mean, you can eat it, you can take it under your tongue, you can drink it, um, transdermal patches, all different types of ways. Because I think talking to some people, like I guess you get on the debate about it being a natural plant, and you know and the whole argument behind this is what God put on the earth, the fruits and things like that to heal our body. And one of the pushbacks I've gotten has been, well, God didn't mean for you to smoke it, or just the act of smoking it, or whatever. But that's literally ludicrous, because I mean, people throughout the years have been smoking different things. It's just that propaganda that's been pushed on us for so long. It's just really deep seated in people's minds, and so I'll leave you with this, right? So people can see, just how much like that propaganda has affected people. Just it's been done over and over in the years, and still goes on to this day, demonizing that plant and how it's changed, like American culture of how it was policed and laws that were passed behind it and things like that. And then we're at this stage now where information has just been coming out left and right, and you start to see, oh man, it's BS, right? But then you still see a world of brainwashed people, for a lack of better words, and I don't mean anything derogative toward anybody that doesn't understand it or know much about it, or just the way they were raised or whatever. I'm not criticizing you, because that propaganda is a very, very strong thing, so when you go about your daily life and you're watching the news or whatever news source you watch, just make sure you try to go find your own facts before you pass judgment on serious issues. And it's only then that you'll really start finding the truth. All right, so that's it. Make sure that you like, share, subscribe to this. I got some interviews coming up. Actually met a drone operator in my other job, and I asked him, I was like, can I do an interview on you? And so he wants to kind of see what I want to ask him, the questions or whatever. And I know there's some things he can't talk about, but I'm gonna try my best to get it worked out so I can bring him on and just kind of hear what he has to say and see what kind of interesting stories that I can get out of him. So that is it. Like I said, just make sure you share the video. I got some DJ mixes coming up too. Make sure you go to the Mixcloud account. It's mixcloud.com/DVDJ.